They switched from fat and protein to eating a diet of carbohydrate, and we were not designed to eat a diet that's essentially sugar.
What the fuck you fuck?
Right. So I spent 20 years as a vegan. I became a vegan when I was 16, the way that most people become vegans, which is I had a friend who was a vegan.
I think it's a bit far-fetched to say that's how most people become vegan. Maybe 30, 40 years ago, I wasn't around. I don't know what it was like back then. But me personally, like, that wasn't why, and I don't have any vegan friends, to be honest.
So I spent a good 4 or 5 years after that trying to figure out what had I done wrong, because I hadn't done the diet wrong.
Yeah, I'll be interested in knowing what went wrong for you as well, seeing as you can't get any nutrients from meat you can't get from plants. So seeing as that's the case, you know, what were you getting from these animal products that helped you that you weren't getting from plants or that you couldn't get from plants? She doesn't actually mention any details or specifics in this video, so there's really nothing for me to refute beyond that regarding this point.
I still claim the same moral ground. I won't give it up.
She used to be vegan, now she's not, but she's still claiming the same moral ground. Well, one of the moral grounds that vegans claim is that they don't kill animals and they don't do anything intentionally that would contribute to their suffering and death. But see, if you're eating meat and using animal products, you can't use that moral ground that you were using before when you actually adhere to veganism. That's why vegans are angry at you for doing that, because it's fucking dumb.
I hate this idea that if you eat animals, you hate animals.
I think the problem is so much hating animals. I don't think most people hate animals. I think it's more about the apathy, the indifference, the cognitive dissonance. So just give you an example, like with your dog, right? You love your dog. And your dog is capable of emotions, and it's smart, it's got intelligence, it's capable of pain and suffering. Much like other animals, i.e. cows, pigs, sheep, you know, stuff like that. And they've got emotions and intelligence and a nervous system, they feel pain and they suffer. But, you know, you love your dog, and yet you're apathetic towards all those other creatures. You're indifferent to them, right? That's cognitive dissonance, right? Love and indifference are the opposite of each other. So you have opposite feelings towards similar creatures. I think that's the problem that a lot of vegans have with the omnivore. If you claimed, I love dogs, then you could get away with that, right? But if you say, oh, I love animals, then you're not talking about dogs, you're talking about animals, and hence you're engaging cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, well, yeah, I get a lot of death threats.
Die young of a heart attack or stroke because that's all a fat, pathetic, fucking liar like you deserve.
For the most part, look at my alarm system. Well, that's my alarm system. I want them to see that. And I have a dog and I have a permit to carry. So there's only so many. Yes, no, I'm a big believer in the Second Amendment as well. I think people have a right to defend themselves.
I love guns and hate vegans.
Agriculture is the most destructive thing that people have done to the planet. It is the most destructive human activity.
It's getting really dirty now, bro. So many points to address here. I'm just trying to let this down as simple as I can. Animal-based agriculture is not sustainable in any way. It's biologically inefficient. There's so much fucking poo that comes out of it. All the greenhouse gases, 51% of greenhouse gases, all the deforestation, so much food waste, right? You'll probably try and say, oh, that's plant agriculture. Okay, most of the food being produced now is not for people. Okay, it's for animals. The corn, the soy, you hate all that shit. That's made for animals, right? If we didn't have animal agriculture, we wouldn't need all that stuff, and we wouldn't be deforesting so much, okay? We wouldn't have lost 98% of our forest. And it's disingenuous to say that there is any other solution just beside plant-based agriculture. Because hunter-gathering is not as efficient as agriculture. And if we had anywhere near 7 billion people hunting and gathering, there would be far worse ecological effects, man. So it really is a fucking straw man to say that, you know, all agriculture. What are you going to do? We're going to cull and kill like almost 7 billion people and then go eat meat and tubers in the forest? What are you smoking, bro?
It's been sold to us as the way to eat green, and nothing could be further from the truth. Now,
I'd love to hear your clean green solution. I haven't mentioned that in your video. All you've mentioned about is drinking bone broth and eating organ offal meats like heart and kidney and liver, right? How is that greener than the demon you call agriculture?
the part where we can disagree is about factory farming, because I think everybody can see that, A, these are these poor creatures are just living horrible lives.
Sure.
I think we can all agree that factory farming is shit. Anybody who has any kind of open mind with eyes to see, who's not blind, can see that, right? But the unfortunate reality is that all this humane meat and organic free-range fluffy lamb shit, man, a lot of the unethical practices that you find on factory farms are continued on these free-range organic grass-fed farms, right? Artificial insemination, cow calf dehorning, debeaking, detouring of chickens, 50% of male chicks being incinerated and mashed at birth. These still happen, man. That's an industry-wide practice, okay? So I don't see how ethically, and you claim to have the same moral grounds before, ethically, how can you justify that?
And B, it is absolutely just a total waste of everybody's energy.
Now, factory farming certainly is inefficient, especially if we're comparing it to plant-based agriculture. But the fact is that, you know, this grass-fed, organic, free-range beef or whatever you're so fond of is so much more inefficient than factory farming. For example, to make a pound of beef, you need about 2 acres of corn. 2 acres of corn. Now, how many acres do you need for a pound of grass-fed beef? About 50 acres. It is incredibly inefficient. So you keep saying, oh, agriculture's inefficient, but then you just keep using agriculture to get your food, using the most inefficient means possible, like grass-fed beef.
It means that the cheapest calories out there are this crap carbohydrate, and that's why America's gotten fat.
Interesting. So, we as people aren't fueled by carbohydrate, we're fueled by fat and protein, right? Do even glucose, man. Do even glycogen. I think you got too much blood in your glucose system. That's why they call it blood sugar. Wait, do they call it blood fat? No, wait, that's why they call it blood sugar. The reason why Americans are so fat now, 7% overweight or obese, is because of these cheap carbohydrates like corn and soy and wheat, right? It's not like, you know, all these starch-based civilizations, agriculture, okay, starch the foundation of civilization. Like, I don't know, the fucking Incas eating potatoes and quinoa, fucking barley warriors, the gladiators of Rome, living off barley. They refused meat because it didn't stimulate them like barley did. Fucking wheat in the Middle East. Read your Bible, man. Barley and wheat. Bit of corn, maybe. Shit, man. Like, Kumra and Okinawa, the longest lived modern population, 84 years on average. Fuck, man. Like, rice, man. Rice. Fucking, like, 50% of the world lives off rice. Look at those fucking lean gains, man. Taiwan, Japan, China, Korea, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia. Are they getting fat on their fucking $2 a day cheap-ass carbohydrates? Is that why America is fat?
The only reason they can afford it is because that's what's subsidized.
No, they've always been the cheapest foods because they're the easiest to grow. They require the least resources. Go to your supermarket, bro. Pasta, potatoes, rice, beans, kurma, man. They ain't subsidized and they're the cheapest food. I guarantee you go to supermarket, those are the cheapest food. Because they require the least resources to grow. Okay? Fuck.
You know, every single civilization that's ever sprung up around agriculture, it's the basis of civilization is agriculture, collapses, and it's because it wears out the topsoil. So civilizations last between 800 and 2,000 years, and then they collapse, because that's the exact point when the soil gives out. I mean, you can predict it. It's between 800 and 2,000 years.
2 words, bro. China. Fuck, that's 1 word, eh? Alright, so let's say we've got Mayan people. Let's say the Mayan people last for 2,000 years, which they didn't, but it's hypothetical. And, of course, they died of 2,000 years because they completely drained the topsoil. And they're living in, you know, Central America, South America. So the whole region has deficient topsoil. So their society's gone. But I guess that no one else would be able to live there because the topsoil can't grow anything and you need to grow shit to eat to live. But hang on, isn't it that when every society collapses and disintegrates, like, another civilization comes along and grow shit on the same soil where they used to live? I wonder how that fucking works. Conclusion.
Right
so
there.
basically, if we go vegan, fast forward a couple hundred years, we're Lord of the Flies smacking chubby little piggy for his glasses to create a fire.
Yes. There's no question to archaeologists what we ate. There's no question.
Right.
The only people who come up with these just so stories are people who are very ideologically driven. Everybody else agrees, and the evidence is just overwhelming.
Overwhelming evidence that people back in the day, before agriculture, who lived in very, very cold climates, much like the Eskimos, ate quite a lot of meat. Now, I wonder why they ate so much meat. Because it's so cold, nothing else grows there, man. You don't have any plants there. You have no other choice. But now, if you look at people that lived along the equator, for example, Paleolithic people, they ate about 100 grams of fiber a day. Now, I wonder where they're getting their fiber from when there's no fiber in animal foods. So, this notion that you're putting forth that is unanimous in the archaeological community, that all parts of the planet, throughout all times in history before agriculture, ate mostly meat, is preposterous. For example, there have been fossils from around 30,000, 40, 50,000 years ago of teeth, right, in the skull. There's amylase in the teeth. Amylase means starch. Starch means sugar. Sugar's carbohydrate, okay? And also, beware of the scientific filter, right? Because there's great evidence presented by people with masters and PhDs who have found direct evidence of, human creatures from 2 million years ago. I mean, some of those fossils and things they found, archaeological remnants, honestly, some of them are hundreds of millions of years old, potentially. Potentially, some of them are 1 billion or 2 billion years old. Well, the scientific community rejects that because of their knowledge filter, okay? So, maybe certain pretentious ivory-tailed people in academia who eat paleo-primal think that, we never had any amylase in our diet. But quite frankly, that's fucking bogus.
Right.
So there's no question at all. And then you just look at, how our teeth, our jaw, all the way down, we've got one stomach.
Really?
Dude, I can't even believe she would attempt to use those sorts of things to justify her position. Okay, look at this diagram, pause the video, read it, and be informed.
That's what happened. They switched from fat and protein to eating a diet of carbohydrate, and we were not designed to eat a diet that's essentially sugar.
Interesting. Okay, how much fat do people need to survive or to thrive? Approximately 7% of calories from fat. That's not a lot of fat, as long as you get your omega-3s and you're fine. So I don't need that much fat. Protein, how much protein do we need? 5-10%, depending on where you're getting it from, who you talk to. 5-10%. Don't need a lot of protein. And how much carbohydrate do you need? Well, let's see. The body runs on glucose, which is sugar, aka blood sugar. And our biological features are so similar to frugivorous primates. Like the gorilla, for example. You see these canine teeth, right? Designed for biting into apples and other fruits. So I think that's really fucking weird, man. That you're saying, we can't handle the sugar. The best food for us to eat is fruit, man. People are basically, biologically, frugivores.
So meat eaters would sort of taunt me with that question about, well, what about the plants? And I never had a good answer.
I am surprised that you were vegan for 20 years and you couldn't come up with rebuttals for basic, trollish memes like that. But I'll tell you what, we could argue about this till the cows come home, pun intended. But, it's 2016, there's 7 billion people. We got problems, right? Let's not whinge about problems. Let's have some solutions, okay? So, plant-based agriculture is a fucking solution, alright? Now, even if plants had the same sentience, thoughts, emotions, intelligence as animals, that would be the best, most sustainable choice and solution for us to use, okay? A vegan uses 1/6 of an acre, okay, for 1 year supply of food. Just keeps on coming out, pumping out. You don't need that much. It's very efficient. But a meat-based diet, American diet, you need 3 acres, okay? That's about 20 times more land and all the water and all the fertilizer and all that, okay, than a vegan or a plant-based diet. So in this situation, even if we give plants and animals equivalent feelings, okay, the fact that they are healthy for us, more suitable for our frugivore biology, and they're more environmentally friendly by a factor of 20, that's why plants are better for us to eat than animals.
But I'm an apex predator.
Oh, it's your primal instinct to eat meat.